What's up, guys? Today it's time to do a video on the Mini Natrix. All right, this is the Kershaw Mini Natrix. This one specifically is an exclusive to Blade Ops in that this is the all blackout version of this knife. All right, if I bring this up to the camera, you can see the model number is 7006 BLK. All right, and obviously you can see the blade steel under there as well, 8CR13 MOV. The Mini Natrix is actually really popular. Not only that, the full size as well. And these are essentially just, a copy of the ZT0770 as far as the overall design. They've kind of blown up. I mean, a lot of people like these. When I first started carrying this specific one, I did like it. Right out of the box, I mean, it was pretty cool. It's fast. It's got some really cool features for the price. This sells for $30. And it has things like a sub-frame lock, all right? It's running on a bearing system, all right? The detent is strong enough where when it finally builds up pressure, I mean, it shoots out. It's a fast little knife. It's very cool, but the longer I carried it, the more I used it, I started nitpicking little things, and overall, I think it's definitely worth the value, but for me, I wasn't so fond of it as time went on just because of little discomforts, all right? And of course, I'll go through those in this video. So first, let's talk about some specs. All right, again, the blade is an 8CR13 MOV. It's 2.75 inches long. It's 3.75 inches long closed. All right, makes it 6.5 inches open. It's very, very lightweight. Again, because of the subframe lock on here, only 1.9 ounces. That is one of its biggest attributes, I think, is that it's a small, very, very lightweight knife. It does have a pocket clip, obviously, as you can see on here. When this is clipped in my pocket, it's barely there. I carry a lot of different knives. I would say the majority of them are probably in the 3 to 4 ounce range, so this feels like nothing when it's there. As you can see, let's talk about this sub-frame lock. In case you don't know what that is, there's a frame lock, okay, which locks up very nice. There's no blade play at all. All right, I did use this quite hard since having it, but it's actually just a separate piece. In other words, it's not the back scale that creates the frame lock. It's a separate metal piece that's underneath the scale here, okay? By doing that, you can lighten up the weight of the knife overall instead of having a full metal scale. All right, G10 scales on the front and the back. You can see there's some texturing on here as well as these cutouts, relief cuts on the top and the back, and there's also a cut for basically the landing on the pocket clip. So the pocket clip is reversible. You can see it's a deep carry clip, which is one of the, contributors to it being uncomfortable, which we'll talk about in a second here. But you can see there's two screws right there. You can flip it over so it's reversible to the other side. As you get it, tip up, right side carry. And you can see it is completely concealed. So when this is in the pocket, all you see is that pocket clip. And if you happen to know about knives, you'd read Kershaw and you know it's a knife, but otherwise you might not even know that it's a pocket knife. So as you can see, that pocket clip, because specifically it's a shorter knife, a shorter handle, that happens to land right here, and it digs in. When I'm using this lightly, sometimes I don't even have a grip like this, okay, where it's really tight and snug, and I'm putting a lot of pressure down on my palm where that pocket clip rubs. Sometimes if I'm using it lightly, it's not just this knife, it's any knife, I'll hold this sideways like this in a grip, and I'll cut like that. I don't necessarily get like a big old, hefty grip on it. When doing that, it's totally fine. Just kind of loosen the hands where I'm doing a pinch grip on the blade like that and just ripping through a box real quick. No big deal. But when I'm specifically using this knife for any length of time, in my case, testing it, cutting up some cardboard and stuff, that's when I get more of a secure grip like this. And that's when I feel these little things like the pocket clip rubbing. It's a little bit uncomfortable right here, and that is where our flipper turns into our guard. And the flipper itself, to me, is just a little bit on the small side. It's kind of aggressive. Let me zoom in here. So you can see it does have jimping, but it's because it's small and it's just aggressive enough, it tends to be a little uncomfortable in flipping this out, okay? It's not much there to grab onto, and it's just a little bit on the pointy side to me. I haven't really missed it. It's not like it's hard, to get to there. Every time I wanted to open it, I was able to do that. But also my issue is with this, sub-frame lock here, it's very smooth. Most times that's not a problem. With this one, I did find myself doing that. Every now and again, just going to unlock it and slipping off because there's no cutouts on the inside, there's no jimping or anything there, no texturing that you know, allows me to get a better grip on there. Okay, so that's just a little bit on the uncomfortable side. So mix in that with a little bit of flipper, with the, you know, when I want to use it harder, the pocket clip rubs, you know, all those things together kind of turn me off to the knife as a whole. I still think there's a ton of value here. Again, subframe lock, bearing system, so it is nice and smooth. Pretty cool, interesting, popular design for 30 bucks. Now, of course, the blade steel being an 8CR13 MOV, it didn't last all that long. It was really easy to strap back up. I highly recommend stropping your knives. It prevents you from having to sharpen them for a long time, especially with a softer blade steel like this. And you can still see a ton of residue from you know, tape and stuff cutting cardboard. I did a lot of cutting with this, and it held, like I said, just an okay edge. It's nothing crazy. It does dull out fairly quickly, but I mean literally 2 or 3 passes on a strop and you're back in business. So it's kind of a give and take. It's like any other blade steel. Cheaper steel means cheaper knife overall, but you do have to, you know, get some kind of basic knowledge on maintaining your edges so that you can successfully use it all the time. So the guys and girls out there who want to buy, you know, cheaper knives, they're totally fine. They're totally functional. You don't have to spend a bunch of money on a good knife, but you do have to invest in, you know, sharpening it and stropping it and learning these different techniques to maintain that edge. It's way more important on cheaper knives like this as opposed to, you know, an expensive knife with some super steel. Because I know plenty of people out there who have $5 and $10 knives that use them every day, and they go dull all the time, and they just sharpen them back up, and it's no big deal. On the flip side of the coin, I know plenty of people out there that have, you know, $400 and $500 and $600 knives with super steels in them. They barely use them, and they never sharpen them because they never need to be sharpened. If you're carrying, you know, some pocket jewelry, so to speak, and you take it out, you know, once every couple weeks to cut something lightly, and you have this amazing, you know, steel, that'll stay sharp forever, essentially. You know, and a lot of those guys, and some women too, they tend to do a lot of, you know, trading and selling anyway, so they don't even have a knife long enough to find out when it gets dull. So there's all different types of knife owners and users out there. Just saying, nothing wrong with a cheaper or more affordable knife, but oftentimes people get disappointed are the ones that don't know how to sharpen them. So they get dull fairly quickly, and then it's like, oh, what am I gonna do with my knife now? It's useless. But yeah, just with a little bit of sharpening knowledge, something like an 8CR13 MOV should not be an issue at all. As far as our pivot, you can see it's kind of an ornate or decorative, you know, raised pivot there. It's pretty cool. It's kind of cool in the design. You can see the nut on the back side is flush. If I zoom in really close, you can see right in the center there, takes a Torx driver. All right, so all this extra stuff on the outside is not necessarily for, you know, turning the actual nut. Some people might be a little bit confused there because some knife brands have proprietary pivot hardware. We need a special tool or something. You don't need a special tool. All you need is a Torx driver for this. On the back, you can see there is a spacer, which is very cool looking. I like the little cutouts here. Just kind of adds to the design, and maybe like, you know, a third open back, or almost, you know, maybe 40% open back on there, which will allow some of that dirt and grime and stuff to blow through. So, I mean, overall, it's a pretty cool knife. There is a lot jammed into this $30 knife. I'd like to see this more at like $15 or $20, of course, but hey, I mean, I say it all the time. I'd love to see every knife to be cheaper. I think $30 is very reasonable for what you're getting. I think that if you have larger hands, you might find it to be uncomfortable like I have. But hey, I mean, it's a great, what I would consider to be a beater knife. It's something that I think would be totally satisfactory to a lot of people out there. It's just, there's so many cool knives in the market. This wouldn't be a recommended one by myself, only because there's tons of other ones that I would suggest before I suggested this. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it fell a little bit short as far as the comfort. When I'm gripping hard, it's uncomfortable here. Little bit slick on the that frame lock, just to unlock that. And most importantly, obviously, when, you know, flipping the blade out, that flipper is just a little bit uncomfortable, a little small, a little pointy, and a little bit too aggressive for my liking anyway. Now, even though this is a flipper, you can see the channels that are cut into this blade on both sides. All right, let me show you that real quick. Not only do they add to the design, but they actually become functional in that if you don't want to flip this out fast, you can open this slowly by doing that pinch grip thing. The cutouts give you just enough grip where you can use the middle finger and the thumb, and use your other fingers to kind of keep it in your hand, but you'd pinch it together and push out. And once you overcome that detent, it's very easy to use your thumb to just continue that out. So if you did want to open it slowly, do so. But yeah, I mean, this is basically the small, very affordable version of a ZT-0770. So I would say, in conclusion, it's definitely not on my all-time favorite list by any means. You do get a lot of knife for your money here. It's a pretty cool design. I do like it, but I think it definitely fell short in the comfort zone. And if a knife's not comfortable, you probably won't end up gravitating towards it or carrying it much. So just kind of on the fence. It's not one of my favorites, and I wouldn't recommend this just because in the $30 price range, there's a lot of competition out there. So it wouldn't be a go-to suggestion for anyone if they asked. But you know, I don't think it's a horrible knife either. It's kind of somewhere in between. So that's all. If you guys happen to own this knife, any version of it, let me know in the comments what you thought of it. But the best thing I liked about it was that it was super lightweight, and I do like the blade profile quite a bit. Locks up totally fine as well. So, I mean, there's pros and cons in every knife. It's just unfortunately too many cons for me to, really recommend it. So that's all. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Take care.